Now, PW-1 is also expected to testify that PW-1 would have been expected to be paid by defendant banks. Okay, so let's talk some more about Lil Durk and this situation that he's got going on in his case. And OTF Dede actually blowing the doors open on this whole case, man, because his attorney filed a motion to sever. So a motion to sever is a strategic move in the legal system when somebody wants to separate their case from one of their co-defendants because their co-defendant might have some things in their case that they don't want associated in their case. They want those things separated. So a good example of this is you get arrested and you get charged with a guy who's got murder in his case, but you're being accused of shoplifting. You know what I mean? So you want those two cases separated, even though they might have said you guys shoplifted together or something like that. You see what I'm saying? So this isn't an uncommon thing. What is crazy about this is they just blew the doors open on whoever the snitch is in this case, because it's clear as day. Lil Durk and them they know who the snitch is based on the paperwork that's out there, and I know they have them listed as PW-1, but the things that they're saying that PW-1 knows, or the information or the conversations he was in, you know exactly who you were in the room with when you said these things, when these things that were outlined in this motion to sever that's been put out there by OTF Dede. So that's got me thinking, man. I put on my tinfoil hat, my conspiracy theory hat, and I was like, did they file this motion to separate to find out who the snitch was, or to put it out there who the person is who's cooperating? Because I'll tell you this, people think that OTF Dede his attorney filing this motion to sever is him snitching. No, that is not correct. That's not accurate. What it does do is separate him from some of the things that he could prove he wasn't involved in the case, and he doesn't want taking his case. He doesn't want the jury to look at his case the same way, or the judge in this case to look at his case the same way that they're looking at the other person's case. In this instance, it's Lil Durk, because Lil Durk, it looks bad, man. I ain't even gonna lie. All this, the information that's coming out right now, all the filings, that's been put out there, and a lot of it is redacted now from one of the agents that's on the case. You got to remember, court is like a strategic battle, man. It's like playing chess. We do this to get this done. The move that's being made in front of you might not be the move that you think that they're trying to make at the end. You see what I'm saying? Because Lil Durk's attorneys also filed yesterday a motion to dismiss. And they had grounds to dismiss this case of the murder for a hire case on certain grounds that they felt, man. So it's a lot going on with this, man. This is a very interesting case and a lot to read. But let's talk about something that was just put out there as far as Lil Durk, and he's being accused of basically putting hits on members of O-Block because they weren't sliding for Vaughn. They're saying that Lil Durk got furious at the fact that people were not sliding for Vaughn in a quick enough time, and he ended up putting hits out on his own members, like people who are members of 300 and Lamron or whatever. He's being accused of putting hits out on them because they weren't sliding fast enough. This is crazy, to say the least. So, man, let's get down to the paperwork and see what's out there. All right, so this is jumping off of based on what I talked about in my last video, where we broke down the motion to sever. So the motion to sever that was put out there by DeAndre Wilson, aka OTF Dede. All right, so let's look at a little bit more of this. So it continues by saying, defendant DeAndre Wilson, aka OTF Dede, by and through his counsel of record, Craig A. Harbaugh, hereby moves the court for an order severing his trial from the co-defendant Durk Banks and any other co-defendants whose trials are joined with Mr. Banks. This motion is made in pursuant to the Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 14 on the ground that a joint trial will cause compelling and incurable prejudice to Mr. Wilson as a result of spillover from extensive other acts, evidence noticed by the government that overwhelmingly concerns Mr. Banks and other alleged actors and would not be admissible against Mr. Wilson if he were tried. Meaning he couldn't be tried for these acts that Lil Durk is being accused of. So that's why they want to separate his case. Now in this next post, it says this. Now this is strictly taken from social media, so I want you guys to take this with a grain of salt, but man, this does look pretty accurate. And it brings out some of the details of what's being alleged against Lil Durk in this case on the back end. That we'll see when it comes to trial, right? So it says this: Mr. Banks to an alleged bounty for the killing of Mac. Now, Stephon Mac is another murder for hire case that Lil Durk's name has been put into. They're saying that the Stephon Mac shooting case has to do with the fact of his brother getting shot and killed. So, man, this goes deep, man. Now, Mr. Wilson is not identified in connection with this incident. So, basically saying that OTF Dede has nothing to do with the shooting death of Stephon Mac, which was in retaliation for Lil Durk's brother, allegedly, right? Now, in April 2023, text chain Monaduke feud, the notice claims a group text between defendants Banks and OTF members, including defendant DeAndre Wilson, Antonio Jones, a.k.a. Boonie Moe, and PW-1. Now, PW-1 is the informant or the alleged person who's helping in this case, in this situation, right? This is alleged to be the person who's actually the person who's giving up information to help the government in this case. But you would know. Now, this is where I say that Lil Durk and them should know from this exactly who that person is. Like, it should be no clue to them, because it says in this text thread where they talked about the deceased rapper Monaduke, and we can talk about that as well, but Monaduke lost his life.
Chicago police say 2 people were shot and killed and a 3rd person was hurt. This happened early this.
And it's labeled as Monaduke feud. So it's a feud between them and Monaduke. Monaduke is famously a part of O-Block. He was wearing his O-Block chain to the day that he passed away. He even passed away in that chain. He went out partying in that chain that night. He's an O-Block member, very close associate of King Von, right? So it's labeled in their records as Monaduke feud. So it goes to show that Lil Durk was having a feud with Monaduke. And these are the people in this text chain that he was talking about with this feud. Boonie Moe, who's in prison right now, DeAndre Wilson, who is OTF Dede, and PW-1. Now, I'm going to keep it real. OTF Jam's name is not listed. So then you got to start doing deduction, the process of elimination. He's talking to all these people who are his close associates. Boonie Moe, I think they're cousins or something. Don't hold me to that. DeAndre Wilson, OTF Dede, who's a very close friend of his. And then there's other people who are missing, but PW-1 is there. So I'm not saying that OTF Jam is PW-1. I'm not saying that anybody that's missing that he's normally in communication with or that you see around Lil Durk all the time is PW-1. But that's wild to say the least. I'll leave that there. Now, in this, they reflected that Banks, Lil Durk, his frustration that O-Block was not properly retaliating for Bennett's death. So Lil Durk felt a certain type of way that these cats weren't getting active for King Von in the streets. That's basically what this comes to. Now, in the thread, Mr. Banks, not Mr. Wilson, because remember, this filing to sever is on behalf of OTF Dede. And OTF Dede's attorney is saying, this is why we're filing this motion to sever. And we know that OTF Dede, a.k.a. Mr. Wilson, is not involved in any of this. And he says, Mr. Banks, not Mr. Wilson, declared, I'm finna pipe it up. Boonie Moe responded with blood is green emoji of a car and green light. Getting it together now, no phones. So basically, they're saying that Lil Durk said, I'm finna pipe it up. So I'm at the top of this. I'm the rapper, but I'm gonna have to go in the streets myself and get the pipe and get to work for retaliation for King Von, which is wild, man. Because at this time, you got to remember, Lil Durk is already an international superstar, already up for Grammys and things like that. So it's alleged that he's threatened them to the point where he's like on this text thread, and he's basically saying, yo, if y'all don't get active in the streets, I'm going to pipe it up. I'm going to get my get, and I'm going to get into the streets and get active. And Boonie Moe's like, whoa, big bro. You know what I'm saying? You too big, you too high profile. It's a green light on him with the green light emojis. And he said, man, we're getting it together right now. Don't worry about it. Just no more phones, no phones. Now, with that being said, we wouldn't be reading this right now if they didn't put it on phone. they actually put that in the text thread, which really might have hurt Lil Durk's case. I'm gonna keep it real, man. This looks bad for Lil Durk, right? Now, outside of that, it says the government expects PW-1 to testify about purported follow-up plans involving others. So PW-1 is the informant in this situation, and he's going to testify on what the follow-up plans after this text thread was, because obviously Boonie Moe said, hey, cut off the phones, man. No more talking on the phones, no communication. Smartly so, right? And I'm not encouraging what they did if they did do anything like that, right? Now, significantly, the government attributes no statement to Mr. Wilson in this exchange. His presence is merely noted as being on the text chain. There is no claim that Mr. Wilson agreed with, endorsed, or acted on Mr. Banks' statements. So meaning that he in no way intended to act on behalf of what Lil Durk said or get active in the streets behind Lil Durk's threats, which is smart. But like I said earlier, man, don't take this for face value. You know what I mean? And I don't know if, man, I should be, man, but this could all be a really two-sided legal move, like strategic legal move. Number one, to separate their cases, right? Number two, to expose to everybody who would have knowledge of who that person is as PW-1 that was in this text string of who that is. Boonie Moe knows who PW-1 is from this. OTF Dede knows who PW-1 is from this. So this is wild, man. This is crazy. All right, so it continues by saying on April 2023, Instagram chain, another text chain between defendant Banks, defendant Wilson, Boonie Moe, and Devonshea Collier allegedly shows Mr. Banks forwarding an Instagram message he sent to a rival Richard Ramsey. Now, Richard Ramsey, this is wild. He's a member of 300. He even has it on his Instagram page. It says 300, Richo 300. You know what I mean? So he's been put in this as well. So they're saying that he's a rival to Lil Durk. Now, Lil Durk came up under 300. He's Lamron to the heart. Like, that's him. But, you know, he gravitated towards his industry people, but they always stayed intact. Now, Mr. Wilson is not alleged to the author of the threatening statement. His name appears only as a participant listed on the chain. The notice does not claim that Mr. Wilson commented or endorsed or even responded to Banks's message. So basically, they're just trying to clear the air and say that he in no way had anything to do with the message that was being put out there by Lil Durk, man. So then they go on to talk about lyrics where he talked about these things and these acts. But to keep it a buck and to keep it real with y'all, this looks real bad for Lil Durk, man. I'm going to keep it real, man. And this is all is reiterated again here. But, man, I want to actually look at a clearer part of this. So you see this is where everything is starting to fall together in the case, at least what the prosecutors think. So they're basically saying that Lil Durk had sent out directions, specific directions, and they could prove that he wanted SR, which is Lil Pop, shot and killed, or was the reason for Lil Pop getting shot and killed, because the directions were to kill Quando Rondo, or exact revenge on one of his other rivals. Now, specifically in April 2023, text messages by and between defendant Banks and OTF members, including DeAndre Wilson, Antonio Jones, a.k.a. Boonie Moe, and PW-1, show defendants Banks feud with O-Block members Duke over defendant Banks' belief that O-Block members were not properly retaliating for Bennett's death. In the thread, defendant Banks states, "I'm finna pipe it up." So this is kind of repeating what he said previously and showed the message that he sent to Richo 300. So who's associated with 300. Now, the crazy part about this is you've got several people who are alleged to have been have been accused of being snitches in this situation, who are also arrested as well. So I don't want to leave it out like OTF Vonnie. His name hasn't been mentioned in this at all, and he's one of the people who have been arrested. So I don't know. When it goes to PW-1, I wouldn't say that's OTF Jam, OTF Vonnie. We don't know at this time, right? But one thing I do know, they know. Lil Durk and them know who was on that text with him. OTF Dede and Boonie Moe, they know who was in that text with them, especially talking about this at that time. That's something you would just remember just in case something bad happened or something went awry. You know what I mean? So whoever PW-1 is, they have knowledge of that. Now, the fact that they said that Lil Durk was so hell-bent on getting revenge on the people who took his brother's life and the guys who took King Von's life, that he was basically threatening O-Block members that they need to get active is wild, man. Now, they're also saying that PW-1 and Boonie Moe purchased a vehicle with funds from defendant banks to travel to O-Block and kill whatever O-Block members they could find. So they were under orders, Boonie Moe and PW-1, to kill whoever in O-Block they could find because he was that upset that they weren't in the streets active, which is wild, man. Because when you think of Lil Durk and O-Block, even though O-Block and 300, O-Block and OTF, all these are different gangs under the same umbrella pretty much. You know what I'm saying? They got the same ops. Now, PW-1 is also expected to testify that PW-1 would have been expected to be paid by defendant banks for anyone that the conspirators killed, but that the conspirators did not go through with the plan because of police presence in O-Block. So they're basically saying that they ain't shoot the place up because O-Block had police all over the place at that time and they couldn't get away with going to O-Block and shooting anybody up. Now, evidence that defendants banks and other OTF members involved in the murder of SR discussed violence against another rival of defendant banks at defendant banks' direction, specifically on April 2023, text message between. So this is kind of repeating one and the same. So they use this over and over a couple of times throughout this document. And this is going everywhere. Now, what I take from this is Lil Durk and them for sure know who PW-1 is. It's impossible for them not to know. Now, for us, it could be a whole list of different people, man. So I wouldn't jump to any conclusions about who that is, but definitely, this all looks bad for Lil Durk. And according to the prosecutors, it's alleged that Lil Durk was so hell-bent on getting revenge for King Von. Maybe it was the fact that he lost a good friend and the fact that his future investment in King Von being a rap star was too much, that he said, forget it, man, let's get it. Y'all better get in the streets. Or if y'all don't get active in the streets, we gonna get active on y'all. Now that's crazy, man. This is a crazy case. And man, when it comes to everything that's coming out in this OTF case, we thought it would be wild, but to this extent, to where they're alleging that Lil Durk was ready to go in on his own people, is crazy, man. Just crazy.